Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. I got my pencil here. That's how you know I'm going to make some points, all right, dude? Because you want to know why? You look more intelligent, and look at this dopey face. You look more intelligent when you got a pencil, all right? Or you look like you're, I don't know, constructing something. Well, I'm concocting a plan right now because the Miami Heat got to figure out who the hell is going to step up with Tyler Herro hurt, right? Like what we got an issue here with Tyler Herro and this injury. And so who is going to knock knock, who's there? Opportunity. And the opportunity I'm looking at is for somebody to take these minutes that are going to be available, not starting, but as we do the domino effect, who is going to be the guy that jumps into the fold here and is like, me. I'm going to take advantage of this. I saw that Tyler Herro posted a photo of himself rehabbing on the leg. Big cast. I was, look, I'm not gonna keep going back and forth here on how long this is gonna take because I don't freaking know. And I don't want to play that game because I'm certainly not I'm not in any way a medical expert or whatnot, but Tyler Herro posted a video of himself or a photo of himself, excuse me, in his garage gym, it looks like. And yeah, it looks like a pretty big ass cast that it looks like a cast boot. I don't know. In the photo that he put up on his Instagram or Finstagram a day ago, that looked like a pretty gnarly cast. And Leroy was like, he's like, that looks like a 6-week cast. And then you just think about, all right, 6 weeks of not doing anything. Then you got to get your leg back. 8 weeks just may be speedy. And then I didn't realize the Heat played semantics on the whole statement where they were like around 6 weeks. I was like, all right, well, talk about your wiggle room. But I was thinking about a couple of things as far as like who does this benefit. And I keep coming back to one guy that I'm hoping takes the reins here. And it's not Kaspers Yakachonis. I know people will probably be like, oh, don't you want the rookie to step in? Trying to be realistic here. I don't think that Spo is going to throw him into the fire like, hey, you're the 6-man point guard now. I don't think that's the case. People to me were mentioning Pella. And while I think Pella is really, really good, and I certainly could see Pella, just coming off the bench, flying, throwing his neck at the rim, and causing havoc and being that type of nightmare for defenses. Pella's going to play regardless. Pella was going to play regardless. So I'm trying to figure out in the midst of all this, like, who's going to be the guy that gets more minutes. Tyler Herro played a lot. So, like, who is going to be the guy? And I saw that Zach Lowe was mentioning, like, oh, could this be the Rozier resurgence? Maybe. I can't rule it out. Like, if the Heat really did want to, like, showcase and be like, hey, let's try and get the last run of it. Let's see if Terry's got anything left, right? Like, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to kick around if they're truly there. But it really does feel like the Heat are rats off a ship on Terry. From the report, there was even a report, whatever you make of it, but it was like, oh, the Heat are thinking of just parting ways and cutting bait. I don't think they're going to do that. It feels like they know that, because at worst case scenario, he's on your books as a 26 point whatever $1 million anchor, and you're just like, whatever, we know we effed up, we might as well just let it walk, let the salary cap go, and maybe we could use it to make a big deal. Probably not, as I just told you, the complexities of this Rockets deal, probably not, but we'll see. And the guy that I keep coming back to as hopeful that he could take advantage of this is Jaime. And I was taking a looky-loo back at Jaime's best games of last year. And I keep coming back to, and it was not exactly a deep dive because there weren't a lot of great Jaime games to look at. In fact, Jaime only scored 20 or more in 2 games last year, which was a big dip from his rookie year where he had 9. And then, was scoring basically at least 15 in about a third of his games. And then last year, I think he only scored 15 and at least 15 in 7 of them. It's a huge slump. It was a huge slump. And I'm wondering if this is his chance to really go out there and make something happen and put a jolt into his career, to take advantage of this opportunity to see if that guy was left. And the thing that I liked about it, I was looking back at his games last year and I watched 3 games in particular because I really just wanted to watch the good because I just think that I needed to be reminded of what kind of a good player Jaime Jaquez could be. Because we knew what his downfall was. His downfall was he got too consumed by this shooting thing. He's not a good shooter. I don't know if he's ever going to be a good shooter. Maybe he will be. I'm not here to say never, but Spo was making this point in the summer. Like, I want him to get back to being himself. And the thing is that there was just too many times last year. He just wasn't himself. This guy, his rookie year, walked in and was playing at his own pace, which at sometimes was furious. Like, he could get downhill and he could draw contact and he could play physical and he didn't need the ball in his hands and he was making good decisions. And then and Spo was throwing him in the deep end. He was throwing him on defense against LeBron and Durant. And I'm just like, all right, he's taking his one. And I didn't think that he was drowning. Yeah, there was a regression at the second half of the year. There was some injuries too, an ankle injury that got him. But I thought, like, damn, dude, this guy's got some stuff to build off of, right? We know that there was that stuff over the summer that Windhorst said that he didn't love his overall demeanor. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that was he got too down on himself. I don't know if they didn't like his work ethic. I don't know. Now, I don't think that's the case because Spo said this guy works like a maniac. He's a 3 times a day in the gym type of worker. But I went to 3 games in particular because that was pretty much easily his best run of the season. It wasn't exactly detective work on my part, but it was in the middle of the road trip. The Miami Heat played. It started with the LA games, and they played Portland, Utah, and Golden State. And those to me stood out as 3 of Jaime's best performance. Or I'm sorry, wasn't Portland. It was Utah, Golden State, Sacramento. I don't know why I kept getting Portland in my head with this thing, but it was Utah, Golden State, Sacramento to close out a road trip. And he was in the midst. He started that entire road trip. I think Jimmy was on suspension. And there were 3 very interesting games, okay? Because Utah was an interesting game because that was kind of the anomaly because Jaime really he was a good shot maker. Like he hit 3 threes. There weren't many games where he did that last year. In fact, there were only 2 games he did that last year where he hit 3 threes. And so that one kind of stood out as like, all right, I don't know. But the other thing that stood out with the Utah game and was standing out about this trip is that he felt very much like a guy who was very, very willing to get his teammates involved. And even in this run, he had 7 assists in that game. And that was the thing that really stood out. I was like, man, Jaime's a good playmaker in the paint. Like, he really seems to make good decisions when he gets down there. He can kick it out. He can get other people involved. This isn't a black hole of a player. This isn't a guy who you throw it in there and there's just nothing. There's just no redeemable quality. You're not going to get the ball back. That's not what I saw in these games. And in fact, the 2 games later, the Heat lost in double overtime, 123-118. That was Jaime Jaquez's first ever career triple-double. In that game, Jaime had 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists. So, yeah, you had, on this road trip in particular, like 2 of his bigger assist games, but like, just did a great job of decision making with the ball. And I think that was what Spo was really talking about this summer is like, yeah, this guy, I want him to be right with the basketball. And a lot of them were just quick decisions in the flow. One of the things that got bogged down with him last year just felt like so many guys knew, like, hey, if we can get him to a second move, like, we're good. He's going to short circuit here. And I think with Jaime, what you saw when he's at his best, it's, you know, be decisive, because he is he's physically enough. He's not a guy who's like, he's not small. He can play in there with bigs. There were games in this where he was stealing the ball from Sabonis, like he was scoring on Sabonis. He was getting buckets in the paint. Um, and we saw that in his rookie year. Like, this is a guy who could definitely live and flourish there. He definitely needs his hops for those rebounds and those putbacks. Like, he can eat there a little bit too. But I say all this, like, yeah, he doesn't play like Tyler Herro. Obviously, Tyler is feasts, obviously, with the 3-point shot. He's one of the best shooters in the league, and then kind of works his way in. Where I feel like Jaime, obviously, this is a guy who works better in. But look, this is also a player who did he model his game after? The DeRozans of the world, Jimmy Butlers, like that. Those are his guys. And what do we know Jimmy to be? Jimmy is rugged. Jimmy is not the prettiest basketball player in the world. Jimmy can shoot and unleash the three from time to time, but he doesn't like it. He likes to, what does Jimmy say? I like to crash into people. I like to see who's going to fall first. And I think that's what Jaime needs to do. Like, he has this pretty footwork, but I do think that Jaime is a if he gets the physicality up, and we've seen him at his best. Like, I think in one of these games against Sacramento, he got to the free throw line. Which one of these games? I feel like it was the Utah game. He got there 9 times in that game. And I think with that, you're like, all right, like that can be a key to something. Certainly the Heat needs some of that. We talked about this a couple of videos ago, just the infusion that they need from that perspective. So I'm curious to see what he can do in Tyler's absence, because if you're going to be looking for somebody to step in here and make something happen, then okay, we know that we're probably going to see more Pelle Larsson. Obvious. We'll make the decision on what's going to happen with the bigs. But, if you think about the other guys, like Drew Smith, don't know if he's going to be healthy. Kasparas Jakuponis, rookie. Harry Rozier, do they trust him? Like, Jaime's the guy. Pella's obvious, because Pella was going to play anyway. I felt like Pella jumped Jaime. And so, like, you're looking here, you're like, okay, what about the guy who jumped Jaime? He's going to still play. It seems like this is Jaquez's golden opportunity. Like, this is Willy Wonka. If anybody's going to take advantage of Tyler Herro being out, I think it's got to be Jaquez. He's the guy that has to take the most advantage of Tyler being out. Not necessarily that he's going to start. I think they got that figured out. But as those minutes open up and they need offense and they need people to get to play make, not expecting any shooting, you're not going to have that. Like, that's the one thing, is their bench is unless it's Fontecchio, there's not a lot of guys you look and you're like, oh man, that's going to be our infusion of 3-point shooting. That's still very much an Achilles heel for the Miami Heat right now, especially with Tyler out. You're going to have it from Norm, and Wiggins is capable, and Jovic has shown himself to be better, and Bam has gone from nothing to something. But off that bench, Pell is not a shooter. Davion, we think, was last year real? I don't know. So, yeah, who are those guys who are going to get hot? I don't know, man. That's a great question. But we know that's not Jaime's game. But just simply the if he can get back to him at the best of playmaking in the paint, putting his head down, making the right cuts, making the right reads, just not thinking the game so much, then I think there can be something here for him.